I definitely agree to that. So it's better to know beforehand what kind of a job you are going into and what kind of a team you've been part of, or what are the expectations that are going to be before even accepting the offer, even continuing with the interview. Maybe because that might not align very well with you, or maybe that would be the best thing that you can look forward to. So yeah, I think that's the best part, and you should understand what kind of a team or structure that you're going to follow. So some companies have their counterparts to manage, or let's say a UX designer for managing your wireframes and everything, and then analytics counterpart to pull out the data for you to work on it, and so on and so forth. But sometimes it's the expectation from the PM itself. So there won't be any analytics counterpart. You have to pull out the data yourself, or maybe
Exactly.
there won't be any XYZ person. You have to push this on yourself and on your accord. So that's the expectation sometimes that misses in between, and you should get that clarity whenever you are it's at entry level job or at a senior level. It's better to get that clarity in first and move ahead, right?
Yeah, and having said that, you spoke about data entry, and I just remembered something from my past. So, having said that, sometimes even companies are not sure that what you are good at, right?
Correct.
So we should not just let go of an opportunity because sometimes the companies are not clear. They're still figuring out that where you best suited would be. So
Mm-hmm.
in those kind of things, I would say that you join the company, and then in the very first or second month, try and figure out where is the best fitment for you, and then you go and speak to your leader that this is where I think I can add value the most
Mm-hmm.
too. So for example, if you come with, let's say, a database or a SQL kind of a background, and you think that you can work very well with the data analytics team in order to understand the matrices, or to track them, or to even build them, then that's where you can add value and align yourself too. One of the things that my mentor really told me once was to that as a PM, there is one skill that you have to really shine with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that you are an expert at, and rest of the things you can still manage.
Right.
So if you're very good with data, then data is your skill, and rest, stakeholder management, PRDs, VRDs, tech, is all like allied skills, right? If you're
Correct.
very good with tech, if you've coming with a software background, and you have worked with as a software developer in the past, and you're very good with codes, then that's your shining skill, right? That's where
Right.
you put in the extra hard work, and then rest of would be your allied skills. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where you make a mark, and you position yourself within the company, and then later on even within the industry as an
Mm-hmm.
expert.
Right. I think that makes sense. That totally makes sense. And this is advice for mostly for entry level jobs. You should not be scared that this is not a defined JD for, because it's an entry level job that every part of the job is expected out of you, and it's better for you to do everything because it's a learning experience in itself, and you get to better learn that okay, marketing is something not my forte, or maybe UX is something my forte, and I can work better on this part, or maybe I can work with better with the data. So it's something more. It's become more important when you grow up in your role, and when you have very skills which are very specific, some domain or some part of the field. But when you are at an entry level job, I think you can. It's better to get the clarity, but it's mostly if it is vague enough, you can still go for it, because I believe sometimes it's harder to break into product management itself. So you should not step just because of
Yeah,
something is
exactly.
not available. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and moving on to my next question towards you, Tanya. So, I think you have been part of various geographies as in different places. So, how does even that affect the role? So,
Hmm.
I have been hearing about that. Sometimes the location also affects the role that you are working on, or the things that you give output for. So, how does that affect you as a PM?
Interesting question, Sarthak. Basically, if you would have asked me in 2019, my answer would have been completely different. So
Mm-hmm.
my answer would have been yes, it matters, and I have seen that impact myself. I have experienced it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, as a PM in Bangalore, so this is pre-COVID, I'm talking, guys.
Okay.
For example, as a PM in Bangalore, you know, you get a lot of exposure to these very advanced tech-savvy startups where
Mm-hmm.
you can get to learn a lot, get into a very, very smaller team, and get to work on, end-to-end kind of things. And you are even part of sometimes strategizing for the entire company.
Right.
So that's where, you can really hustle, work 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours a day. And then, you're like, really grilling it and learning a lot. But that kind of exposure, frankly, is not there in Gurgaon. I mean, it is there, but a little limited to
Mm-hmm.
to that extent that here we have more B2B or in multinational companies, we have the sort of roles where actually it's a dearth of PM roles in the north part of I would say the country. There are very few, and the ones that are there are pretty much either into banking, fintech, or a couple of consulting firms or even research firms like Gartner and all. So
Hmm.
they are very specific, I would say, and they are more like multinational bigger companies where you are like getting into a set process, a set system. There are set things laid out for you, and Amex is also part of it, I would say. When it comes to Mumbai has, I think, a plethora of options. So there are still a lot of startups, and I would say a lot of startups in Mumbai are more into this, marketing, PR sort of a thing.
Hmm.
And while more tech savvy startups you will find in Bangalore, and more like, Zomato and those kind of early age startups, OYO and all, or Airtel, you will find in Gurgaon. So this was the scenario pre-COVID.
Okay.
Cut back to 2022 when things are pretty much remote everywhere, so
Hmm.
it hardly now matters,
Okay.
frankly. A lot of those things have changed. So I do get calls from startups in Bangalore as well. I mean, they would say that it's best if you could come on the location. But then if you they have seen that it really does not matter for a PM whether he is sitting in Jumri Talaya or a Silicon Valley, right? They are
Right.
still building these fantastic products, rolling it out, shipping it out, and then getting millions and millions of revenue out of it. So
Right.
it just doesn't matter anymore. And as far as the collaboration is concerned, even if I go to office, right, my developers are not coming, or my marketing guy is not coming, or my legal person is not there. So what will I do? I'll attend Zoom calls in office, right? So what's the
Right.
point? So
Right.
there is no point. So I think now, another shift that I have seen is, in fact, a couple of months back, I gave a talk on the geographical differences in salaries of a PM.
Okay.
How they actually differ with, let's say, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Pune, Gurgaon, and Bangalore. But come to think of it, now it's pretty strategized and pretty aligned, because there are some companies. I mean, I'm not talking about outliers, but
Hmm.
most of these, even banks like Axis Bank, ICS Bank, or even RBL for that matter, they have started to raise their bar in terms of salaries and compensation. They are so even if startups are giving out ESOPs, these companies are giving out, let's say, unlimited sick leaves, or other perks like flexibility to work from home, or relocation bonuses. So there are things that each of these companies have now started to give out, because they know how lucrative this profile is, and how much there's still a demand supply gap. There are not enough good product managers corresponding to the number of open positions. I would still say that I know people will contest and come and say हमें तो job नहीं मिल रहा है, हम तो
Right.
ढूंढ रहे हैं. But the word is good product managers,
Correct.
right? So
Right.
that's where the difference lies. So you have to meet those criterias which the companies are exactly looking for,
Hmm.
and once you meet it, I think it's a cakewalk to get into any of your dream companies you want to.
Yeah, definitely. I think again, it's very important to understand that there are openings and vacancies in the various companies, but you're missing on the good part of it. So most of the people ask me like, I have been trying the vacancies there, and what to do that. You are missing some part, and that's why the company is rejecting you. Or sometimes this is the case. So there are few vacancies. I know as compared to any software developer role right now, you will get less number of vacancies, but still there are vacancies. There is a demand and supply shortage, and I have felt that in my company as well, there are openings and along with other of openings in my friends' companies. So yeah, definitely. And I agree with pre-COVID times, it would have been a very different thing because all of the people are going in office and all of the people are present over there. But now the things have been shifted towards remote and how you bring out the best productivity, whether it's in office or whether you're sitting at your home or whether it's a co-working space or at your family's relatives room that you are taking just to quickly catch up on the meetings or scrums. Is it's just matter that you are pushing out the best product or you're giving out best. So it's more output oriented, and I think that's been the guiding principle for me as well. Location does not matter that much.
Yeah,
uh,
totally. And in fact, a few of my colleagues actually did this vacation kind of a thing last year. They were sitting in the hills and they were shipping on features like anything. So yeah.
Yeah, I can agree to it because I've been doing that for almost for I think 6 months. I've been moving to different places to do vacations. It's not much feasible now because offices have opened up. I think
Yeah.
for the last 8 months I've been going to office, but previously it was amazing because every day I was going to a new place and exploring and taking meetings from there on. So at least remote working unlocked a new way of working for me.
Yes, totally. And I think leaders and HRs are also pretty aligned with it. And now I think it's become the norm to just work from anywhere and still to be able to add that value and bring out productivity. So yeah.
Correct. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, from this track of questions, I'm just detouring towards a very unique question, and sometimes people are hesitant to ask these questions or understand this. So, what happens when you are at a life's low end point, and how do you come out of that? Because uh, generally, it's more like a roller coaster curve, the ups and downs are going. But how do you come out? Because it's easy to say it's just a moment of life or it will pass on, but how do you come out of that life's low point? That's if you have faced one, or how's that thing looks like for you?
Yeah, Sarthak. So, that's a great question. And it actually reminds me of my own story. So, when actually COVID started, I had joined one of my new companies, and till now, you've not experienced a daily not going to office sort of a routine, and especially when you're working with banks, even they have not. They cannot visualize that. How can somebody, because they are of a pretty typical Indian mindset that a person will come from a 9 to 5 kind of a job, and then अगर वो दिख नहीं रहा है तो वो काम नहीं कर रहा है, and those trust issues those managers have. So these kind of scenarios cropped up, and the leadership was pretty hard on all of us, in terms of what's building, what's not. And as a product manager, it's not like, yeah, you are building something, right? You're
Correct.
just getting things done. So if my designer is not giving my designs on time, if the developers are not completing their sprints on time, or if the legal team is taking some time to finish a contract, you actually, at after a certain point of time, your hands are tied. But then the leadership still was facing this sort of challenge to align as to how things are. And all of this pressure actually pushed me towards a bit of depression. So I didn't realize it initially. I thought maybe it's workload, maybe it's pressure, maybe I'm an extrovert person, and it's COVID, and all that thali peating and all of that was not working at all for me.
Mhm.
It was very gloomy. I used to live on the ninth floor of my building, and I used to just keep sitting in the balcony ki koi chehra mujhe dikh jaye. I just want to, like, I mean, husband ko kitna dekhoge, right? So I was actually at one of the lowest points in my life,
Mhm.
to be frank. It was not a good time, and things were not even that bad, because when you're depressed or when you are in that mental state, sometimes even the smallest of the smallest things becomes big in your brain, right? So
Correct.
I started fearing stuff, like if there would have been a leadership connect or a review meeting, even the weekend before, I used to get this anxiety, and I used to get these attacks almost, that what will I say, how will this. And things were not even that bad, right? You just making it so big in your head that it overcomes everything, and you're not able to think clearly and even perform clearly. So
Right.
I think I was in that state, and I was not even sure whom should I ask help to, right? Because who will understand? They will say, क्या हो गया यार, तो क्या हो गया, पूरी दुनिया बंद है,
Mm.
right? So and I think that's where the the amazing set of support system I had from my family and from my friends, it really helped. So I started calling out one of the good friends I have in from college and school, and I try to share with them that this is what my feeling is, and I'm not sure, you might laugh on it, but I'm just feeling it, and just sharing that emotion with somebody else, and somebody also saying, ha yaar mujhe bhi low lagta hai, and I'm also going through the same. It just
Correct.
makes you feel that okay, you're not alone, and there
Mhm.
are people who are even worse, because one of my friends actually lost their jobs. So
Mhm.
then you start seeing little positives, that okay, fine, at least you are better than that person. There's a
Mhm.
death in somebody's family due to COVID, and it's like, okay, thank God, my family and my dear ones, my near ones are safe, right?
Mhm.
So you start appreciating those little things in life.
Right.
And I think that's where that support system really mattered. In fact, it was around that time that I also got COVID, and it was very initial, nobody knew what to do, and I was so scared, I thought I'm gonna die. And it was that bad.
Mhm.
So And after all of this, after those 3 weeks of COVID, I said, okay, you know what, chuck it. I am coming out of this shell no matter what happens. And I would say that, all of the guidance, all of the advice is very good. It
Mm-hmm.
helps you keep sane, and just keeps you on track. But that actual motivation or that switch has to come from within. So
Okay.
I think, one night I just decided, बहुत हो गया. I am not some Meena Kumari. हो गया अभी बहुत.
Yeah.
I am just gonna get up tomorrow and it'll be a new life for me. I just woke up. I resigned. I quit my really, really terrible job that
Mm-hmm.
I was in, and I started sending out my resumes, and I started looking out. Within 15 days, I got a new job.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I, in fact, cracked Amazon around that time. There's
Mm-hmm.
another story why I didn't join.
Okay.
But, one of the best companies in the world, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
just gave you a boost of confidence, and I was back on track. I would still say I'm very lucky that I was able to do that, through myself, my friends, and my family only. But I
Mm-hmm.
would really suggest that if any one of you who's watching this and you feel that you're stuck somewhere and there's nobody you can talk to, because not everybody can talk to people, right?
Right.
Like my husband, right? It's very difficult for him to talk to somebody. So there
Mm-hmm.
are people like that. So I would say take professional help. There are so many experts online, offline, and they are very discreet. Just go talk about your emotions, and it really helps you soothe yourself. It helps you to manage your stress. See, overnight nothing will change, okay? It's like how you manage it. And
Correct.
just to add to that, I also started doing a bit of meditation, a bit of yoga, breathing exercises, along with just thinking positive, listening to podcasts which were positive. And sometimes I didn't get sleep. I used to get all these traumatizing thoughts in my mind, ki kya hoga, what will happen, and all of that. Just listening to that calming Buddhist music sometimes helped.
Mm-hmm.
And one one thing that also helped was, I was listening to Ravi Shankar's, sayings or just little videos.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be anything for you. It could be some chants, it could be some Gurbani, it could be anything, like,
Correct.
as you feel. But I think that little bit of faith sometimes can also help. It could be anything. It could be just spiritual as well.
Yeah, you have to find that one thing that works well for you. But yeah, has to be some things that you feel motivated to, that you listen in your leisure time, or maybe it gives you a good new hope towards the next day or the work that you are doing. So yeah, I agree that. And uh, so I think one of the things is that people cook up some stories in my mind, and that's sometimes more frustrating than the actual scenario,
Yeah.
and you don't know even how it is going to play out in the real life. So yeah, I think one of the good suggestions would be to talk to your friends and understand if they are facing the same things. And yeah, as you mentioned, you have to have
And
something.
sometimes just go with it. What I think the biggest life lesson that I learned during that time was, ki
Mm-hmm.
instead of thinking about it and overthinking and overthinking about overthinking as well,
Uh-huh.
just, sorry to say the word, fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't overthink, just do it.
Correct.
Like, Nike, just have it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, exactly. I think, but yeah, kudos to you and respect to you, because if you are stuck in a place where you are not finding good enough motivation, or you're stuck in a very terrible place, you should resign it, and then you will find that opportunity. Obviously, you will
Exactly.
have the skill sets and everything. So, as I think one of the example in front of you with Tanya, so you resigned and you got the job within few weeks, and that it helps a lot. So, within few days, you will be also able to reshape yourself and everything. Um, Generally, it's difficult to understand in our societal norms that you are not getting a job first and resigning before, but if you are not happy, you can do that. So yeah.
I think your well being, your mental well being is the most important thing. No amount of, I know there are, like, dependencies and financial obligations as well. So always manage your finances so that, you can at least cover 1 to 3 months of that period if you're sacked, or if you have to quit, or you are stuck in that loop. So always have that financial planning for at least 1 to 3 months. And then once you find yourself in a situation where that these guys are not going to change, your putting in extra is not going to help, then just don't do it anymore. Just think about yourself and your well-being in your family first. If
Hmm.
you burn out and if you're not in a mental state, then what kind of finances will help, right? Koi paisa kaam nahi aayega if you are spending it on doctors.
Correct.
So
Yeah, earning 10x and spending 10x again in the hospital doesn't make
exactly.
sense. Yeah. So yeah, I think we are towards the end of this podcast. I think a very good set of learnings. But Tanya, any last words, any last tips and suggestions for the people who are moving into this domain, or moving or transitioning to a PM role? Anything from your side?
Sure, Sarthak. So I think people who are transitioning, one, know why you're transitioning. It should not be because of salaries or glamorous roles or my friend is doing this. It should not be like that, because it's a very, very challenging profile. It takes a lot out of you. And sometimes, I have seen people 2 years into PM and say it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably go back into sales or go back into marketing. So always know your motivation, why you're joining. And secondly, I think, like I said, find that skill set that really makes you shine, build on it, and then build rest of the allied skill set. So if you're coming with a background of, let's say, marketing, get into product marketing set of things. If you're a category manager, breaking into product management, I think this product marketing profile is the best suited for you. If you're a software developer, technical product manager is the best profile for you. Project manager or a B2B sales guy, product owner is the best profile for you. So find that alignment and start applying there. Another tip I would want to give you is to how you build your resumes, because that's the first step within the hiring process and breaking into PM, right? So a lot of times these HRs and the recruiters, the way they hire is to do word matching algorithms with the job description and what you have written, right?
Right.
So make sure that even if you have worked on a project which was not completely product oriented, how you can specify it in a way where it shows your product management skills. It could be your analysis, problem solving skills, your coding technical skills, your strategizing or analyzing, or it could be your project management or stakeholder handling, anything. So just
Right.
find out those keywords from the product management profiles and start rewriting your history or rewriting your stories in resume, so that you are more aligned to that role. So yeah.
Correct. I think that makes sense. And having that perfect resume to break into the first barrier, which is like getting the first call, is very necessary. And I think
Yeah.
it's very, very relevant to keep your resume within respect to product manager profile. Even you are coming from a different career option, how you can shape the words and how can use the words which are more looking towards the product manager is something which will help go a long way. But yeah,
Mm.
thank you so much, Tanya, for sharing all of these tips and suggestions, your life story, your life journeys. I think it's been very, very informational for me, and I think audience will love it. They will really cherish all those learnings, and it will be able to help them as well. So yeah, thank you so much for taking out this time and coming with all these fundamentals and the anecdotes that you mentioned and everything. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
Sarthak, can I give my promotion for like 30 seconds?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. So, thank you so much, Sarthak. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I would also, I'm here to help all the aspiring managers, budding product managers. And if you need any help in terms of resume building, mock interviews, breaking into product management, I do keep a lot of sessions with pragmatic leaders and other forums. And I have a very active LinkedIn page. You can just book some time with me and reach out to me or DM me, or, just reach out for any sort of help.
Yeah, I think that would be one way to reach out to her. And for the audience listening in, I will put her LinkedIn link in the description below. You can check that out. You can reach out to her. She's a very fun person. You can connect with her. And thank you so much for joining in for this podcast. I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye.